Tang Sanzang.
Tang Sanzang is the monk at the center of Journey to the West. He is based on the real Buddhist monk Xuanzang, who traveled from China to India during the Tang dynasty to collect sacred Buddhist scriptures. In the story, he is a reincarnation of Golden Cicada, one of the Buddha's disciples. The name Sanzang refers to the Buddhist Tripitaka, the ancient collection of sacred Mahayana scriptures he is destined to retrieve. In many English versions of the story, he is even called Tripitaka for this reason. His connection to Buddhism shapes every part of his life, but his childhood is filled with tragedy and separation. Before becoming a monk, his family name was Chen. His father, Chen Guangrui, earned first place in the imperial examinations and was appointed prefect of Jiangzhou. On the journey to his new position, he and his wife Yin Wenjiao were attacked by a ferryman named Liu Hong. Chen Guangrui was murdered, while Liu Hong stole his identity and forced Yin Wenjiao to remain with him. Soon after, their son was born. Fearing the child would also be killed, Yin Wenjiao placed the baby on a wooden board and set him adrift along the Yangtze River. The child floated safely to Gold Mountain Monastery, where the monks rescued him and gave him the nickname River Float. The abbot raised the boy inside the monastery, and as he grew older he became a Buddhist novice with the Dharma name Xuanzang. When he finally learned the truth about his parents, he reunited with his father, whose life had been preserved by the Dragon King of the river, and together they exposed Liu Hong's crimes. Not long after, Emperor Taizong of the Tang dynasty chose Xuanzang for a sacred mission to travel westward to India and bring back Mahayana Buddhist scriptures to China. The emperor respected him so deeply that they became sworn brothers, and from that point he became known as Tang Sanzang, with Tang standing for the Tang dynasty and Sanzang standing for the Mahayana scriptures. Along the journey, he recruits the other pilgrims, who are forced to accompany Sanzang to repent for their previous sins. Unlike the other pilgrims, Tang Sanzang has no great fighting ability or magical powers. His strength comes from compassion, faith, and discipline. He believes even bandits, demons, and yaroge can find redemption, and that belief often places him in danger. This belief also leads to numerous ideological battles with his disciple, Sun Wukong. He represents discipline, wisdom, and the human search for enlightenment. Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong is the Monkey King, and he is easily the most famous character in the story. He is born from a magical stone resting on the mountain of flowers and fruit, a place filled with wild monkeys and hidden caves. When the wind touches the egg, it transforms into a living monkey. At the moment of his birth, beams of golden light shoot from his eyes all the way to heaven, startling the Jade Emperor himself. Even then, the rulers of heaven dismiss him as nothing important. As he grows, the stone monkey becomes leader of the other monkeys after bravely leaping through a giant waterfall to discover a hidden cave behind it. The monkeys declare him their king, and he takes the title Handsome Monkey King. For a time he lives happily, but the death of one of the older monkeys deeply disturbs him. Realizing that all living things eventually die, he becomes obsessed with finding immortality. That fear of death is what truly begins his journey. The Monkey King leaves his island alone on a raft and travels through the human world searching for wisdom. Eventually, he finds the immortal master patriarch Sha Wujing, a powerful Taoist sage who recognizes the monkey's determination and accepts him as a student. It is here that he receives the name Sun Wukong. Under his master, he learns the secrets of immortality, transformation, cloud traveling, and magical combat. He masters the famous 72 transformations and gains enormous supernatural strength. After Sha Wujing sees Wukong showing off his powers to Sha Wujing's disciples, he sends him away, telling him to never tell anyone that he got his powers from Sha Wujing. Wukong obeys and forever claims he learned his abilities in dreams, never breaking his promise to his first master. When Sun Wukong returns to the mountain of flowers and fruit, he discovers demons have enslaved his monkey followers. He defeats the creatures easily and becomes even more respected among the beasts of the world. Wanting a weapon worthy of his strength, he travels beneath the sea to the palace of the Dragon King Ao Guang. There he claims the legendary Rui Jing Gubang, a magical iron staff originally used to measure and stabilize the oceans. The staff can shrink to the size of a needle or grow massive enough to crush armies. Wukong stores it behind his ear when not in use. The Dragon Kings also give him golden armor, cloud walking boots, and a phoenix feather cap, completing the image of the Monkey King known throughout the story. His growing power soon creates trouble across heaven and the underworld. When the rulers of hell attempt to claim his soul, Sun Wukong storms into the underworld and erases both his own name and the names of all monkeys from the Book of Life and Death. This act makes him effectively immortal and terrifies the celestial authorities. Hoping to control him peacefully, the Jade Emperor invites him to heaven and gives him the lowly position of keeper of the heavenly horses. Wukong quickly realizes he has been insulted and rebels, declaring himself the great sage equal to heaven. At first, heaven tries to calm him with empty titles and meaningless honors, but son Wukong's pride and anger continue to grow. He later becomes guardian of the heavenly peach garden, where he discovers that every god and immortal has been invited to a grand banquet except him. Furious at the disrespect, he eats the peaches of immortality, drinks the Jade Emperor's sacred wine, and steals Laozi's pills of immortality. By consuming all of them, he becomes nearly impossible to kill. The celestial army marches against him, but son Wukong defeats wave after wave of heavenly warriors. Even famous gods like Neza and the 4 heavenly kings fail to stop him. Eventually, the warrior Erlang Shen battles him in a fierce duel of transformations, while Laozi secretly strikes him from behind with a magical ring. Captured at last, Wukong survives every execution heaven attempts. He is then sealed inside Laozi's giant furnace for 49 days, where divine fire is meant to destroy him completely. Instead, the flames strengthen his body and give him the fiery golden eyes that can recognize evil and illusion. After escaping the furnace, son Wukong launches one final attack on heaven itself. At that point, the Buddha personally intervenes. Wukong boldly claims he is worthy of ruling heaven, so the Buddha challenges him to escape from the Buddha's palm. Confident in his speed and power, Wukong leaps to what he believes is the edge of the universe and marks 5 giant pillars as proof of his victory. When he returns, he discovers the pillars were only the Buddha's fingers. Before he can escape again, the Buddha traps him beneath a mountain with a sacred seal, where he remains imprisoned for 500 years. During those centuries under the mountain, son Wukong slowly learns patience and humility. Eventually, the Bodhisattva Guanyin arrives searching for protectors for a sacred pilgrimage. Wukong agrees to serve the monk Tang Sanzang in exchange for freedom. Before releasing him, Guanyin gives the monk a magical golden headband that tightens painfully whenever Wukong becomes violent or disobedient. From that moment on, the rebellious Monkey King begins a new life, no longer as an enemy of heaven, but as a disciple walking the long road toward enlightenment. Zhu Bajie. Zhu Bajie is the pig-like companion known for his appetite, laziness, and constant complaints. Before becoming a Yaoguai, he was once a heavenly marshal in the celestial court, commander-in-chief of 80,000 celestial sailors. However, at a party organized for all the significant figures in heaven, Bajie saw Chang'e, goddess of the moon, for the first time and was captivated by her beauty. Following a drunken attempt to seduce her, she reported this to the Jade Emperor, and thus he was cast down from heaven and transformed into a pig Yaoguai. In popular retellings, Zhu Bajie was sentenced to 1,000 lives where each life would end in a love tragedy. At the early part of the journey, Zhu Bajie has settled near Jiao village. The villagers live in fear because the village elder's daughter has effectively been taken by Zhu Bajie demanding marriage. Bajie had first impressed the elder by disguising himself as a handsome man using his supernatural strength to perform massive amounts of farm labor, convincing the family to allow the marriage. At first he seemed useful, working harder than any ordinary man could. But the situation quickly became a problem because Bajie consumed so much food that the farm itself began losing money just to feed him. Eventually, the family realized they were dealing with something far from human when his disguise began wearing off. When Tang Sanzang and son Wukong arrive in the village, Wukong investigates and discovers that the so-called monster is Zhu Bajie himself. The two clash in battle, and although Bajie is powerful, Wukong eventually overpowers him. During the confrontation, Wukong learns that Bajie has already been approached by the Bodhisattva Guanyin and chosen to join the pilgrimage as punishment and redemption for his heavenly crimes. With little choice left, Bajie agrees to follow Tang Sanzang and becomes the second disciple of the journey. Compared to son Wukong, Bajie is weaker and far less disciplined, but he adds a very human side to the group. He is easily distracted by food, comfort, and romance, and he often tries to avoid hardship whenever possible. At the same time, he can still be brave when danger becomes serious. Bajie matters because he reflects ordinary human weakness. While Wukong battles pride, Bajie battles temptation and desire. His flaws make the journey feel more grounded and relatable. Sha Wujing. Sha Wujing is the quietest and most patient member of the pilgrimage. Before his exile, he served in heaven as the curtain-bearing official. After accidentally breaking a valuable jade vase belonging to the Jade Emperor, he ordered him beaten 800 times and banished him to the mortal world, where he was transformed into a terrifying river monster. After his exile, Wujing lived in the Liusha River, often translated as the River of Flowing Sands or Quicksand River. His appearance became frightening, with a red beard, blue skin in some depictions, and a massive body much larger than an ordinary human. He carried the same magical weapon he once wielded in heaven, the monster subduing precious rod. Around his neck hung a necklace made from 9 human skulls, giving him an even more terrifying appearance. According to the legend, these skulls belonged to earlier pilgrims who attempted the sacred journey westward before Tang Sanzang. Wujing devoured them after they crossed his river, but unlike the bones of his other victims, their skulls mysteriously floated instead of sinking. Fascinated by this, he strung them together and wore them as decoration. His punishment did not end with exile alone. Every day, 7 flying swords sent from heaven stabbed into his chest before disappearing again. To escape the unbearable pain, he remained hidden within the river as much as possible. This endless suffering continued until the Bodhisattva Guanyin arrived searching for protectors for Tang Sanzang's future pilgrimage. Recognizing that Wujing still possessed loyalty and discipline beneath his monstrous form, she offered him redemption. In exchange for serving the pilgrimage, she eased part of his punishment and converted him to Buddhism. She gave him the name Sha Wujing. When Tang Sanzang and his disciples finally arrived at the river, Wujing was initially mistaken for another dangerous monster. Sun Wukong and Zhu Bajie attacked him before Guanyin intervened and explained his role in the sacred mission. After the misunderstanding was cleared up, Wujing joined the group as the 3rd disciple and took on the appearance of a Buddhist pilgrim. From that point onward, he became the most reliable and level-headed member of the journey. Unlike the others, he rarely argues or seeks attention. He carries the luggage, protects the group when needed, and remains steady and mediates during conflict. His calm personality balances the stronger emotions of Wukong and Bajie. In many ways, Wujing represents endurance and humility. He is proof that not every hero needs dramatic power or constant action to matter. White Dragon Horse. The White Dragon Horse is far more than an ordinary mount during the pilgrimage. Before taking the form of a horse, he was a dragon prince, the 3rd son of the Dragon King of the Western Sea. Like the other pilgrims, his story begins with a mistake in heaven. One day, he accidentally caused a fire that destroyed a sacred pearl given by the Jade Emperor. The offense was considered serious enough for execution, and the young dragon prince was sentenced to death for his carelessness. Before the punishment could be carried out, the Bodhisattva Guanyin intervened and pleaded for mercy on his behalf. His life was spared, but he was exiled instead. Guanyin ordered him to wait at Yingqiu Stream on Xipan Mountain, where he would eventually assist a monk traveling west to retrieve Buddhist scriptures. The dragon prince remained there alone for years, waiting for the arrival of the chosen pilgrim. When Tang Sanzang finally reached the stream, the dragon prince failed to recognize him. Emerging from the water in the form of a massive white dragon, he swallowed Tang Sanzang's horse in a single bite. This immediately led to a battle with Sun Wukong. Although the dragon was powerful, he was no match for the Monkey King and quickly retreated beneath the water. After learning the truth from a local earth deity, Wukong sought out Guanyin, who explained the dragon's identity and reminded him that the creature had been chosen to join the pilgrimage. Realizing his mistake, the dragon prince transformed himself into a white horse to replace the animal he had eaten. From that moment onward, he became Tang Sanzang's steed and carried the monk across the vast and dangerous journey to the west. Though he spends most of the story silently traveling beneath the others, he remains an important member of the group. At certain dire moments, for example in the Yellow-Robed Demon arc, he briefly reveals his true dragon form and supernatural powers. Unlike Sun Wukong's rebellious nature or Zhu Bajie's constant complaints, the White Dragon Horse represents quiet service and redemption through duty. He rarely speaks and receives far less attention than the other disciples, but his role is essential. Without him, Tang Sanzang could never survive the endless distance of the pilgrimage. By accepting a humble form and faithfully carrying the monk through every hardship, the Dragon Prince slowly redeems himself for his past mistakes.